Terrorism. Just the word stirs up intense emotions and images in our minds. Images of bloodied and broken bodies, collapsing buildings, cries of fear, pain, and horror fill our mind. The very word makes some people want to run and hide, while it makes others want to grab the closest gun and take the fight to the terrorists. While terrorism is nothing new, the profile of terrorists changed over the decades. In the 1970s, the plurality of terrorist attacks, 42%, occurred in Western Europe and were rooted in communism. The 1980s saw the location of the attacks shift to South America with 33% and Central America 26%, while remaining rooted in communism. The 1990s saw the profile change once again. During the 1990s, both the location and ideology behind terrorist attacks shifted. For the first time, most terrorist attacks shifted to the Middle East and North Africa, 24%, and South Asia, 22%. These are the areas where it is still prominent today, and the driving ideology switched from communism to Islam. Since the 2000s, the Middle East and North African region, along with the South Asian region, have accounted for 80% of the world's terrorist attacks. These regions include such nations as Libya, Yemen, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, and Iran. Terrorism has racked up a body count of nearly 1 million people killed and wounded over 170,000 terrorist attacks, nearly 40% of the attacks and bloodshed coming since 2010. The dubious honor of the single bloodiest year for terrorist attacks belongs to 2014, with over 15,000 terrorist attacks resulting in over 80,000 people killed and wounded. While there have been many ideologies that people use to justify their terrorist attacks, over 130,000 of the 170,000 terrorist attacks since 1970 have been committed in the name of three ideologies: religious fundamentalism, 54%, left-wing ideologies, 27%, and ethno-nationalism, 11%. Combined, these three ideologies make up 92% of all terrorist attacks since 1970. If you take a look at ethno-nationalism, Palestinian nationalism 22%, Basque nationalism 13%, and Tamil nationalism 12% are the three largest groups, making up just under half, 47%, of all ethno-nationalist-based terrorist attacks. When you break down the category of left-wing ideologies, 81% of left-wing attacks have been committed in the name of communism. 18% have been related to socialism, and the remaining 1% have been spread over a wide number of ideologies. This means that terrorist attacks committed in the name of communism make up nearly 22% of all attacks since 1970. Finally, when you put religious fundamentalism under a microscope to analyze the breakdown, you find that 99% of all religious fundamentalist terrorist attacks belong to one faith, Islam. This means that 53% of all terrorist attacks since 1970 have been committed in the name of one single ideology.